Everything rises and falls on leadership. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of When Life is Messy. How many of you have heard of that phrase before, that everything rises and falls on leadership? Because when you really think about it, it's so true. I don't care if you're the CEO of Amazon or Chick-fil-A or Coca-Cola, or you just own a mom and pop shop, a grocery store, or what have you, locally and small businesses. That is true in life, regardless of your background, your really any aspect of your life that encompasses these areas. And so, really, when we really start to experience firsthand leadership skills and lifestyles, most likely for if you're like me, from high school, maybe if you are in a leadership role, valedictorian, things of that nature, or more specifically like me, if you were part of an athletics, baseball or football or what have you on teams, and you learn to really rely on others in order to achieve success collectively and not just for your own sake. And so we are going to be diving into a few of those aspects today, and really beyond high school, beyond college, and really into your professional career, regardless of what avenue or what profession you go into. These are timeless truths that I promise you will be applicable, and I promise you will reflect upon them, and really this will cause you to do some introspection as it has for me. All right, well, let's get started here. So I came across a while ago this article by the staff at Snowbird, which is a retreat center for camps and students, for youth camps and things of that nature up in Andrews, North Carolina. And this article is called 10 Steps to Being an Asset and Not a Liability. And again, full disclosure, I will be kind of referencing this article, quoting it here and there, and then also elaborating on some of the concepts. And so that will be our method of madness today, if you will. Well, let's just get started. So I'm really excited to share with you these life principles. So number one, be professional. And really, that does speak for itself. I think a lot of us, we think about in terms of how we dress, dress to kill, dress professionally. But also that is really a good starting point, but we also want to think along those lines in our mentality as well. So number one, be professional. All right, number two, be proficient. I'm going to read a little excerpt here just to kind of give some clarity. He says, be proficient. Learn the necessary skills to not only get the job done, but to get the job done well. Be proficient. Whatever your job might be, learn the job of the person beside you, the person above you, or behind you. Be proficient. And kind of as a supplement to that, he goes on and he also says, be proactive. Don't wait to be told what to do. When you finish a task that's been assigned to you at work or in school or on your team, find the next task and do it. Be proactive. I think that's so important. Too many people, a lot of times we talk about being an entitled society. Boy, isn't that the truth? We are an entitled people. One of the things that comes with entitlement is doing the bare minimum and then wait until somebody tells me what else to do. Wow. He is not pulling any punches right here. So I think this is so applicable and so achievable as well. All right, number 3, strive for mastery. Again, I'm going to shed a little light from this article. He says, don't just settle for getting by, strive for mastery. Too many people are content to do the bare minimum. But for leaders, for men and women who are reflecting and representing God, represent the name of Christ, good enough should never be good enough. I want to master what I do. Anything I do, I want to do it with excellence. So this is good. If you're a middle schooler listening, or high schooler, or an athlete, or just someone in their professional life, in their professional career, it is a timeless truth. So be a mastery of your craft. Strive to be the best in that. Don't just find what you can settle for and get by with. All right, next on the list is this idea of don't blow off mistakes. Now, we might just camp out here for just a little bit, but how many of you have heard either of one or two camps? One, hey, the best way to do it is learn from other people's mistakes. And if you have the option, that is the best way to do it, because you don't have to go through that hardship. And maybe you've seen a mentor, a parent, a grandparent, family member, friend that has gone through something ahead of you. And if you're striving in their footsteps and you see how they failed and you're coming along, it's your time to shine now. And you're like, I saw how they did that, and I'm going to choose to do the opposite. But I realize that is not applicable for all of our lives, and sometimes we just have to learn the hard way. And another kind of phrase or concept, if you will, that has been true of my life, and probably if you kind of reflect upon your own life, may be true of you as well, but this idea of failure is the best teacher. Now, that's hard to listen to. That's even harder to live through. But the truth of the matter is that failure is the best teacher. I'll give you an example. When we were kids, I think we can all relate to this. When your parents, you're in the toddler stage and you're wanting to touch the stove or touch a coffee pot or whatever, and although your parents may have told you for a lot of times don't do it, but you do it anyway, what happens? Boom. You get burned, but you learn really quickly not to do that again. Why? Because your failure has communicated to your brain that was a bad decision, so do not do it again. Well, that's a kind of a silly example, but the same principle is extremely true in life for all of us. Don't blow off mistakes. All right, I'm going to, again, read a little excerpt from this article here so that we can glean some perspective. He says, when you make a mistake, don't just say, oh, well, take it serious. Don't let it sink you. Don't become depressed or totally overwhelmed with discouragement because you made a mistake. But at the same time, don't blow it off either. Take it serious. Next, finish what you start. Fulfill your commitments. Know the difference between excuses and reasons. Man, I love this. I love it. All right, well, let's continue this train here. All right, next up is expand your vocabulary. Now, this may seem a little out in left field, like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, the truth of the matter is, and I know some of you are thinking, man, if you just act like you know what you're talking about, say it with confidence, and say it quickly and strongly, then you can fake it till you make it. Well, that may work in some lines of work or professions, but on a deeper level, if you're really not wanting to just skate by, but you're really wanting to improve your overall well-being, this can play a factor in your life. He says this: expand your vocabulary. Now, this is both professionally and in life in general. Just learn to articulate, learn new words, learn new ideas. I think that there's such a danger that we stop learning the older we get. So expanding your vocabulary is a great way to continue the learning process, the growth that comes with that. I think that's just practical advice for anyone just going through life. Next up, and I love this too, refuse to settle for failure. And we've kind of already talked about failure a little bit, but the truth of the matter is we all will fail. It's just a matter of the learning curve of life. We try things, we're learning, we're expanding. When speaking from personal experience, coming out of high school, coming out of college even, you have an idea of, when all the grandmas come up and say, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And even if you're giving your valedictorian speech, you may have a list of things that are that you have a current interest in. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know what the percentage is, but I know it's probably 50% or higher, that even the college degree that you get, the emphasis or the major that you put 4 years of your life in, more often than not, you will find yourself doing as a career in a completely different, completely opposite field of focus. And so, why do I bring that up? Well, when you prepare yourself for 4 to 8 years, regardless if you're depending on if you're going through a 4-year or a advanced degree, a master's degree, you advance yourself for just a sliver of expertise. And you have to ask yourself, what is the background? What is the backup plan if that doesn't work out? Well, you have to become an expert in another field. And failure in that regard is just an inevitable factor of life, because there is a learning curve for just learning a new trade. And like we already discussed, learning and mastering a new skill. So refuse to settle for failure. Allow yourself to fail, and you can spend a few moments or days kind of not crying about it, but just reflecting and doing some introspective thought process. But at some point, you just got to get up and go for it again. All right, next we have, and I love this, kill entitlement. And that may seem kind of aggressive, but at the same time, it has this indentation of kind of the grab life by the horns kind of mentality. And I love this because really, in order to achieve success, if you look at all the billionaires in the world today, they're of this breed right here, kill entitlement. Again, I'll read a little excerpt from here. He says, kill entitlement. There should be no place for a sense of entitlement in this life as a believer. Again, coming from a Christian background, from a believer's background, believing in the biblical truths of the scriptures here. But the thing about these articles and these steps, they're really applicable for not only Christians, but any walk of life. This is just the perspective from this article. We've been given God's grace. We've been given salvation. We deserve nothing more. We didn't deserve that to begin with. We are not entitled to anything. Even Jesus in the scripture teaches. So we've talked about this before. This idea of, you don't owe me nothing. You owe me something here just because. Doesn't work that way. All right, moving on. Surround yourself with lions. And again, it's this sort of aggressive, but also a go-getting mentality here. Surround yourself with lions. All right, here's what he says. Surround yourself with lions and gunslingers, not butterflies or sloths. Lions make things happen. Gunslingers make things happen. They get after it. People that get after it. Sloths make excuses for laziness. So surround yourself with people that are going to pull you up, not push you down. When you do fail, as we've discussed, you've got to get back up. Man, it's good stuff. All right. And our next item on the list here is the following. I'll just go right in here. You're not a victim. Now, this, I believe, has encrept so deeply in our modern day culture, and I'm not exactly sure the origin. It's very curious, but the fact is, this victim mentality is deep-seated within our culture, at least in the United States. So how do we overcome this? How do we manage this this very strong current that is the normal way of flowing through life and the normal way of flowing through business and just any avenue in life? When you think of yourself as not being a victim, in a lot of ways, you are like a trout, if you think of it in fishing terms. You know, you're flowing against the current, and that is hard to do. But I think in this case, in order to achieve success in your respective professional career, I think that is imperative. All right, well, let's read a little excerpt from here. It says, victims are now celebrated in our culture, our society. We are not victims. You're not a victim. You may have been abused or had a terrible childhood, but you are not a victim. You are a conqueror through what Jesus has done. The scripture says that through Christ, we overwhelmingly conquer. Or some translations say you are more than a conqueror. I believe that's 2 Corinthians, if I'm not mistaken. Don't be a victim. Refuse to be a victim. Don't celebrate victimhood. Don't let that be the world you choose to live in. You're not a victim. You're more than a conqueror through Christ. Jesus has called you to overcome your past and your brokenness. and your fears and your anxieties, overcome that. There are days that it's going to be hard, but just remember, it is through Christ that we have that strength to press forward. And finally, I know this has kind of been a prolonged video, but I think it's necessary to really marinate our minds and our hearts in this truth and this reality. And finally, you work for the Lord. I love what Colossians 3:17 and also in verse 23 says that whatever you do, whether in work or in deed, do it enthusiastically as if something done for the Lord and not for men. In other words, not done for your supervisor, not done for your coworkers, not even for your family or for yourself, but for the Lord. And if you have that mentality, you will not be slothful. You will not be lazy. You will not be a victim, oh, poor me, kind of a mentality. Because if you have a relationship with the Lord and you love the Lord, regardless of your profession, you will be motivated to the nth degree to achieve success regardless of your professional career. All right, lastly, let's see what he has to say here. You work for the Lord. You do this by the next point. Remember who you ultimately work for. The Lord's being reflected in everything that we do. Expand and grow, always. Don't achieve a level of efficiency and then settle for that. Remember, we want proficiency. The best leaders learn from following and from learning. In order to be a good leader or a team player, we must first learn to take orders, accept responsibility, get the job done. Don't just maintain a sense of entitlement. Man, I don't know about you, but that is some good stuff. And even though I'm kind of the one delivering it on this platform, that just does my mind, my soul, my heart good to just be reminded of these truths and these principles in life that can just take you further. And I hope this has brought, again, I hope this has brought clarity. I know at some point, I know for me as well, it's kind of stepping on some toes, and maybe it's exposed some things in your own life that, man, I need to do better at XYZ. I can't believe he said that. He was talking just to me and he offended me. Well, that was not the intention, I assure you. But like I said, this article is just 10 points, and regardless of your background and your goals in life, these are somewhat of standards to achieve for in each and every one of our lives. So, hey, if you learned a lot from this content and you love this content and you want more of this content, hey, make sure to just like and subscribe in the comments below. And man, I would love and much appreciate that. And until next time, remember, don't be ashamed of your scars because they tell your stories.